The mysterious candy shop, a taste of the past. Elara stood in front of the tiny candy shop at the end of Rosewood Street, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and nostalgia. The wooden sign above the door, aged and slightly chipped, still bore the name in elegant gold lettering. Sweet Echoes, a taste of the past. It had been over 2 decades since she had last set foot here, yet the place remained almost unchanged. The scent of caramel, cinnamon, and chocolate swirled in the crisp autumn air, pulling her back to a time when she was just a little girl, gripping her grandfather's hand as he led her inside. She hesitated before pushing the door open. A soft chime announced her arrival, and the warmth inside wrapped around her like an old embrace. Shelves lined with glass jars sparkled under the dim yellow lights, each filled with colourful sweets labelled with peculiar names. First love lollipops, grandmother's apple toffee, childhood giggle gummies. Elara's breath hitched. This was no ordinary candy shop, it never had been. "Welcome back, dear," a familiar voice called out. Elara turned, her eyes widening as she saw the old shopkeeper, Mrs. Holloway, standing behind the counter. The woman looked almost exactly as she had all those years ago, her silver hair neatly pinned up, her hazel eyes twinkling like she held 1,000 secrets. Time, it seemed, had barely touched her. "You remember me?" Elara asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mrs. Holloway chuckled. "Of course, my dear. People may come and go, but their memories always linger here. What brings you back?" Elara swallowed, her fingers brushing against a jar labelled Father's Peppermint Bark. She had been 9 when her father had taken her here, promising her that one day she'd understand the magic of this place. But he had passed away not long after, leaving her with nothing but the echo of his words and the bittersweet taste of peppermint on her tongue. "I needed to remember," she admitted softly. Mrs. Holloway nodded knowingly. She reached under the counter and pulled out a small wrapped candy, its golden foil shimmering. "Try this," she said. Elara hesitated before unwrapping it and placing it on her tongue. The moment it melted, a rush of warmth spread through her, and suddenly she was 9 years old again. She saw her father's face, his gentle smile, the way he ruffled her hair, the deep, soothing sound of his laughter. The weight of years disappeared, and for a fleeting moment, she was home. Tears welled in her eyes as the memory faded, leaving only a lingering sweetness. "How?" she breathed, looking at Mrs. Holloway in awe. The shopkeeper simply smiled. "Memories are never truly lost, dear. Sometimes they just need the right taste to find their way back." Elara exhaled shakily, looking around at the jars filled with forgotten moments, lost loves, childhood dreams. "Do you still sell Mum's honey drops?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mrs. Holloway's eyes softened. "Of course, and I have a feeling you'll be needing a few." As Elara left the shop that evening, a small bag of carefully chosen sweets in her hands, she realized something. Somewhere in the flavors of sugar and spice, love and longing, time and tenderness, the past was never truly gone. It lived, waiting to be savored once more, in the candy shop of memories. She turned back for one last glance at the shop, wanting to etch the sight into her mind forever, but her breath caught in her throat. The shop was gone. Not closed, not abandoned, just gone. The space where it had stood was nothing but an empty, quiet alley, as if the little candy shop had never existed at all. Elara's fingers tightened around the bag of sweets. Had it all been a dream? A trick of her own longing? She felt the cool autumn wind against her skin, smelled the lingering trace of caramel in the air, and in her palm, the candies remained, proof that for one fleeting evening, she had stepped into something beyond time itself. With a final, wistful smile, she walked away, the taste of memories still lingering on her tongue.